Hi there, I'm Courtney Edens. I'm an MBA candidate at the University of Denver with a concentration in marketing. Today I attended a session called Navigating Calculated Risk on Social Media with Julian Gamboa Ramos, who's the social media director at Maximum Effort. Maximum Effort is Ryan Reynolds' production and advertising company. And I was also the other panelist today was also Zaria Parvez, who is a social media manager at Duolingo. And if you're at all familiar with what's going on in social media today, you know that Duolingo has been a pinnacle for virality on TikTok. So some of my key takeaways from today was just rallying around the brand mission. So when you're navigating risk on social media, there's always inherent risk with what you're publicly putting out there to the world, but always asking yourself, does the risk advance the mission? That's question number one. It is the thing that you should always ask yourself before you're pitching your social media ideas, even outside of social media. It could be an advertising play generally, it could be an integrated marketing idea, it could be specifically a Super Bowl commercial, it could be a tweet. But asking yourself, does it advance the brand mission? That's always a really great centering exercise for you and your teams before you go out and pitch it internally to cross-functional teams. Related but different, but involve your team. Legal, executives, get them bought in. They will appreciate the participation. And of course, they're sometimes going to stop an idea in its tracks, and that's just the risk that you're taking before you're navigating risk on social media. But it's critical to the process. So, and it gets them more bought into greenlighting your ideas in the future. That you came to them, they trust you, you trust them. It builds trust, and it's a powerful thing when you can involve cross-functional teams. The third key takeaway from this session today was just constantly adapt. You don't know where the line is until you cross the line. So, Zaria talked a bit about how the internet is a permanent place in a way, but it's also digital and ephemeral. And your customers aren't necessarily thinking about you as a brand on social media as much as you're thinking about your customers. So you have to take risks. Like, you have to adapt to this constantly changing world and constantly changing technology. And you're going to take risks, and sometimes you might eat it, but it's totally worth it because at the end of the day, you're going to learn something. You're not going to know where the line is until you cross it. So really great takeaway from Zaria at Duolingo. And the last thing that's really critical, I think, is empowering young talent. Social media it's a young man's game, and I don't mean young as an age, but it's how the youth spends their time is on certain social channels, and hiring for the right people in the right seats is critical to being successful as a brand. One of my takeaways from yesterday's session was around knowing what your super channel is. What is your super channel? And it might be multiple, but it depends on your budget, of course. But do you have the right audience kind of in the right seat too? So if your super channel is TikTok, what is the target demographic of TikTok? And do you have somebody with the keys to the TikTok channel creating content for that channel? That's really, really important. And both speakers today made a point to call out that diversity doesn't necessarily equal inclusion. So yeah, it's great if you're hiring people from different backgrounds, but do they have the keys? Do they have a seat at the table? Are they included in the conversations? Are they actually executing the work? And are they actually seeing the responses to the work that they've posted or the content that they've posted? Because at the end of the day, like, they're the ones who are going to carry the torch, and it's important that not one individual is fully responsible for a social media strategy. It's really, really critical for cross-functional ownership of that strategy and its execution and the data analysis that comes in the back end of that. So, how does this apply? Of course, this applies across business, across marketing, across culture. I mean, Duolingo, they're an education brand and they've been able to set themselves apart from any competitor out there. I can't even think of a competitor because they're a language learning brand. They're an app and they've created a character, which is like the duo, like the owl, and they've taken massive risks on social media talking about everything from music to movies to like cringy, just kind of out there stuff. And they've like even when they've crossed that line, they've been able to recover from it because people trust that this is a brand that at the end of the day is living its mission of educating people internationally around language and learning. And no matter what mistakes they're making on social media, they've got a lot of love out there. So I think everyone can take a page out of Duolingo's book. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds' company as well. He's beloved internationally at this point. And given the work on Peloton advertising, I think, yeah, they just crush it. So, yeah, really great panels today. Thanks for listening.